Hi, my name is Charles Quang. I want to introduce you to somebody that we were able to help in the office. They came in a wheelchair and they were young, or they still are. They had no other symptoms other than paralysis and nothing else. Had no control of their legs, arms, couldn't talk, could swallow, could barely chew. And the problem was ongoing for months, and the doctor couldn't find anything wrong with him. They took blood, CT scans. What he did was he did respond to steroids, but only temporarily. When he was on the steroids, it would last maybe for a couple days, sometimes 5 days, and then the effects of the prednisone wear off. And no matter how much more prednisone he would take, he would be paralyzed. And so he would stop the prednisone, and then in a few days restart the prednisone, and he'll get some function back. And even that little bit of function he got back was temporary. So when he came to me, he was in the wheelchair for about 2 months already. He couldn't work, needed help to get out of the wheelchair to go to the bathroom, couldn't stand on his own, and he needed help to get into the bathtub, and he needed help being fed. And so that the doctor couldn't find anything wrong with him. The person actually had heavy metal poisoning. It was mercury, and it's a classic mercury poisoning that occurs and attacks the nervous system, and the nerves stop working. Well, in his case, he was paralyzed. They diagnosed him as ALS because that's what it looked like, but it wasn't, because he wasn't old enough. He was still too young, and he actually had a situation where his problem was continuously getting worse. And then some days he would get a little bit better, and then it'll get worse again. So there was nothing they can do. A typical treatment for this person was sit and wait. Prednisone helps sometimes doesn't help. So now we're in a situation where he needed some drastic changes, because the 2 months that he was going to the doctors, he got 0 results. He has a wife, he has a baby girl, 3-year-old, and he needs to get his life back. There was no way to detect what his real problem was. Blood tests showed nothing. His spinal taps showed nothing. He actually drew liquid from his spinal cord to detect if he had any infections, and they couldn't find any infections. They couldn't find anything wrong with him. He did CT scans, MRIs, and nothing was found. So the only thing he responded to, which was temporary, was prednisone.
The office is really nice, and so is Dr. Quang. He's always reassuring. Nice guy. Well, a couple of months ago I was stuck in a wheelchair with drool coming out, not able to really communicate with my family. It was looking pretty grim. I don't know, I couldn't do anything. I sat around all day, and if I wasn't sitting, I was laying down, and sometimes I would sleep for 20 hours of the day and just barely stay awake. It was kind of a miserable existence. I had a mystery encephalitis, and it affected my cerebrum. Dr. Quang diagnosed it as mercury poisoning and started to treat it. In the first week that I had the teas, I stood up on my own. I mean, it's like little small things, but if you don't get to do them, you just kind of miss out. But there was progression every week. I was always making progress every time I drank the teas. It was good. With the herbal teas, they're not very tasty, I can tell you that much. But the results that I saw from doing it, it's like how would I tell somebody not to do something like that? Well, now I can walk and talk, and my balance is better. I did a couple of magnet therapies, and I used to get these like seizures or dizzy spells where my body couldn't move, like everything was slow motion and really hard. I would have trouble speaking. You know, I'd have like 20 of those a day. Started doing the magnets, and instantly it went down. I've been without one of those for 4 days now, so it's a good thing. You know, I'm talking more like my old self, like the way I remember myself talking. It's just, it's really amazing.
The herb program works for this particular person because the herbs stimulate detox. They stimulate the heavy metals to detoxify from his body, activates the liver to detoxify, activates the kidneys to detoxify, and his entire body started to eliminate mercury. And the more mercury he was able to eliminate, the more function he got back. And the first area he got back was he was able to talk. He could speak clearly, he could tell people what he wanted, and the mercury that was found in the back of his brain was now gone. And as the spinal cord in his chest area started to heal, he got function back so he could move his arms. And the mercury in his low back of his spinal cord, as they got out, he got function back in his legs and he was able to walk.